Let's talk about Aristotle. We'll finish up class today with Aristotle. He was an aristocratic physician's son. So what's that mean? Silver spoon in his mouth, right? Rich boys. Okay. Good for him. All right. He grew up in a wealthy home. His dad's a doctor. Okay. He was Plato's understudy. So he was a student of Plato. And he went on to tutor Alexander the Great. So just in case you think all these folks are irrelevant, a bunch of thinkers that go out and do nothing, keep in mind that you may not be the guy that conquers the known world, but you might be the guy that influences you. Okay. So sometimes those things happen. But we see that connection with Aristotle and Alexander the Great. All right. His first comprehensive system of the Western philosophy encompassed morality, aesthetics, logic, science, politics, and metaphysics, as it's now termed. He was arguably the most prolific writer as far as the philosophers that we've seen so far. I mean, granted, Plato had his writings, and with all due respect, yes, great writings that are well respected in the philosophy realm and appreciated, and so on and so forth. But Aristotle branched off into areas that Plato didn't go there, and he got into a lot. He laid the groundwork for a lot of things like logic, and he got into morality, which of course Plato does get into, but he expounds even more on some things. He also was interested in science, politics. Of course, Plato was interested in politics. Aesthetics, Plato didn't have much time for that stuff. He really had no appreciation for the arts, and we'll explain in philosophy of art why that is later. Okay, Plato is dear to me, but dearer still is the truth. And that's a quote from Aristotle. Plato is dear to me, but dearer still is the truth. So it shows that respect that he had for his teacher, but he goes a very different direction with his philosophical concepts. Okay, he does kind of glean from Plato. He certainly does that, but he looks at things very differently. His view of reality is very different with the doctrine of the forms and things like that. He doesn't have that innate ideas kind of concept. He doesn't think in those terms. So he looks at things a lot different. Okay, Aristotle and wisdom. This is a category. Apparently, I did not transfer that over to your notes, and I apologize. So you need to jot down some notes on this. Scientifically, he was inclined to study of the nature of things. Now, where do you think he might have been influenced from? Obviously, it wasn't from Plato, right? That empirical, hands-on kind of thinking, that wasn't Plato. Where did it come from? His dad, probably. Perhaps. His dad was a physician. His dad thinks in terms of corporeal things, bodies, physical entities. And maybe that influenced Aristotle. Maybe that influenced him. All right? He saw the highest good of human existence being to implement rationality as rational beings. So use that brain of yours. Okay? This is the highest function that you have. Okay, for him, wisdom is being able to rationalize about things in the world regarding practical actions and finding happiness through virtue. Again, that virtue concept, that he's still a Greek. Okay? He might be a doctor's son, he might be a student of Plato, but he is Greek through and through, and he thinks like a Greek, and so virtue is very important to him. He doesn't shed off Greek thinking and go rogue on us. Okay, he's very much tied to that Greek tradition. Good?
Yeah.
All right. That didn't come out so good, did it? Okay. I want you to know this about Aristotle, that he describes how wonder fits into the philosophical method. I want you to associate him with wonder fitting into the philosophical method. Wonder. Men wondered about, you don't have to know the quote, all right, I'm not worried about that, but I do want you to know that it is owing to their wonder that men both now begin and at first began to philosophize. Well, they wondered about things. That's where it starts, right? You wonder. When you started to take this class, I wonder what that's about. All right? What is philosophy class about? I wonder. All right? They wondered originally at the obvious difficulties and then advanced little by little and stated difficulties about the greater matters, such as phenomena about the moon, the sun, the stars, about the genesis of the universe. Okay? And that's in Metaphysics, Book 1. All right? Principles on first philosophy, as he refers to it. But that concept of wonder, he picks up on that this is where it all starts. We question beyond ourselves. We wonder what's out there. All right? Okay, here's some of his contributions to philosophy. He was the first to formalize logic. Tongue-tied today. About time to go in. He was the first to formalize logic. All right, that's that study of argumentation, which we don't get into. Their entire course is just on logic. They're not a whole lot of fun, at least from my perspective. No offense to those guys that get their PhD in that area, but wasn't one of the more exciting courses that I took. Okay, it is helpful if you're going to be a lawyer or something. Studying logic can be very helpful for you. Devised analysis, evaluations of arguments. Okay, and again, that's logic. Syllogistic logic is primary constituents of arguments are terms which are judged as better or worse by their arrangement. So this is looking at how we word things in an argument to make it a stronger argument, a weaker argument. All right. Okay. His works on sophistical refutations and prior analytics address these issues in logic. So I just want you to know basically that he was the first to formalize logic, and he did devise analysis and evaluations of arguments, which is what that really is. And syllogistic logic is part of that. Okay? You don't have to know about, I'm not worried about the sophistical refutations and all that.